The U.S. government has taken its biggest steps so far in holding individual Chinese companies accountable for their involvement in the Russian war effort, and Beijing is furious. Last week, the Biden administration announced an extensive list of sanctions targeting firms that have continued to supply products and services that have contributed to the Russian war effort in Ukraine, and one particular government is furious. Of the nearly 400 entities and individuals named on Friday, dozens are Chinese companies that the U.S. has accused of supporting the invasion. Beijing swiftly responded to the sanctions list on Sunday. China's Ministry of Commerce released a statement emphasizing the government's firm opposition, describing Beijing as strongly dissatisfied with the administration's decision. The U.S. actions are typical examples of unilateral sanctions and long-arm jurisdiction, which undermine international trade order and rules, hinder normal international economic and trade exchanges, and affect the security and stability of global industrial and supply chains, a ministry spokesperson wrote. China urges the U.S. to immediately stop its erroneous practices and will take necessary measures to resolutely safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese enterprises, it continued. Since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the U.S. has repeatedly warned China about its continued trade relations with China and the impact it has had on the Russian war machine. China, which is both a political and economic ally of Russia, has responded by denying any support for the war effort and painting itself as a neutral party. Friday's sanctions list is the most direct action the U.S. has taken against Russian-affiliated Chinese businesses since the war in Ukraine began. It includes sanctions on 2 major tool suppliers, 6 electrical component suppliers, and more. Some companies also supplied parts for the Russian company's Special Technology Center, which specializes in making surveillance drones. The Biden administration hopes to weaken Moscow's war arsenal by targeting the companies that support its supply chain and defense base. In particular, companies that produce dual-use goods such as microelectronics and computer numerical control items sell them to Russia, where they can then be used for military applications. Other companies affected are in adjacent industries including energy production, bulletproof glass and armor manufacturing, air transport, and more. Under these sanctions, all named entities will be unable to trade with U.S. firms without a special license. These licenses are exceptionally difficult to obtain. We remain concerned by the magnitude of dual-use goods exports from the PRC to Russia, the State Department statement reads. Imports from the PRC are filling critical gaps in Russia's defense production cycle, the statement continued, thereby enabling it to produce weapons, ramp up defense production, and bolster its military-industrial base. And it isn't just the PRC, People's Republic of China. Aside from China, these latest U.S. sanctions named 60 technology and defense companies based in Russia, as well as a slate of firms in Turkey, France, the United Arab Emirates, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan. The fact that nearly half of these parties are located in countries outside Russia should serve as a stark reminder. It doesn't matter whether you're in the People's Republic of China or Turkey, said Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Export Enforcement Matthew Axelrod in a separate statement. If you send common high-priority list items, or a range of other items, to Russia, you risk being added to the BIS entity list, he added. While it is the U.S. most sweeping action against Chinese companies so far, it is just the latest of hundreds of sanctions added to the entity list targeting the Russian war effort, marking more than 1,000 so far. Friday's announcement is the first step following President Joe Biden's commitment to raise the cost of the Russian war machine this year and cripple its supply chains, which he announced at a G7 summit in Apulia, Italy, in June.